Okay, so hi guys. This is another interview in our series of Christian to the Core on the amazing core value of vision. And I'm so delighted to have my really good friend and ministry partner, Martin Durham. And I've already prompted him. I just want to say about Martin that he is truly a man of vision and a man of passion. My first encounters with Martin, traveling with him around Europe and listening to him teach on passion, so moved my heart. This is not an exaggeration, and would often bring us to tears. And so, Martin, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I just would like you to start sharing really now about God's vision for your life at the moment and where passion comes from. Martin, welcome.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. It's a wonderful privilege to spend a few moments just sharing. Thank you for the opportunity. And as for all of us, really, my story starts back when I first came to Christ. And, I came to Christ at 19 years old and very soon was captured by this amazing truth that I had been rescued by Christ. That he had forgiven me of my sin. And for me, it was, I was just grappling with this understanding that I could have a personal relationship with God, the God of the universe. And this affected my eternity forever. And this was incredible that I could be not only rescued, but now part of his family and involved with his purposes. And for me, very early on, I had this growing sense of wanting to tell others about Jesus and the difference he had made in my life, particularly family and relatives, because from my family, there are not many believers, very few, in fact, in our kind of family tree that I'm aware of. And so those who were closest to me, I really wanted to share Christ. And I felt this kind of welling up within me, but as many will know, I didn't quite know how to do this, or I had all those kind of usual fears about speaking out and all that sort of stuff. And yet there was something within me that wanted to share the gospel. I'm so thankful for being discipled and being encouraged in my walk with Christ and how to share Christ. There's a verse in Jeremiah 20 verse 9, and it's where Jeremiah is under a lot of pressure. He has a message from God, very few people standing with him. And then he says these wonderful words when he's under kind of immense pressure. Then I said, I will not make mention of him or speak any more in his name, but his word was in my heart like a burning fire shut up in my bones. I was tired of holding it back and I could not. And for me, that just kind of summed up where I was. And so I just stepped out and just wanted to share Christ with people. And there was this moment early on in Leicester Square. I was invited to go to Leicester Square by a street preacher. I thought, oh, this is fascinating. I've never even heard of street preaching. And this street preacher from America who just happened to be passing through London said, come on, I'll show you all about it. And he stood on this box in the corner of Leicester Square and started to preach. And I thought, this is amazing. And I was really nervous, though, and I was trying to look for someone to talk to. And I found two Christians walking through Leicester Square, which in some ways was really good, because as I started to talk to them, I was talking about other things because they knew Jesus. So we talked about football and stuff. And I thought, this looks great because it looks like I'm witnessing. And then he stopped preaching, this guy, and he walked across to where I was. And I thought, oh no, I've been found out. And I had to introduce these two Christians. And he said to them, why don't you kind of stand on the box and give your story? And of course, the color drained from their faces, made excuses like, we've got a train to catch. And then he said, tell you what, Martin will do it first, and then you can do it. And then my heart sank as I thought, I can't say no here. And I had this long walk to this box in Leicester Square. But this is the point. As I stood on that box, absolutely fearful, really, I stood on that box and I opened my mouth, and it was like, I don't remember what I said. I really don't. but it was like God lit a fire within me at
Wow.
that moment. He ignited something
Wow.
within me. And from that moment, this passion just was welling up in me. I had to make Jesus known. And it changed my life. It was a defining moment for me. And that defining moment will look different from different people. As you see a need, for me, that need that was welling up within me is that people do not know Jesus. And I've got the answer here. I have to tell people about Jesus. And that was the need that I saw. It was a need that it just stuck with me. It was growing within me. When I went to bed at night, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, how do I reach people effectively? How do I connect with people? How do I present Jesus to those who have never heard about him or who have rejected him? And so that moment for me was very, very important as that need was growing within me.
Mm.
And then there was a moment when I was challenged. Just 2 years later, probably 3 or 4 years later, I was challenged to think about vision. And I'd never thought about this before. Vision about what is God's vision for your life? That was the challenge that was laid down to me. And I received some kind of teaching on vision similar to what you will be looking at here in Christian to the Core. And I'd never thought about this before. And I remember hearing about how vision is birthed and starting to identify with what was happening in my own life, seeing that need and it growing within me. But then I was challenged, okay, well, why not take time out and ask God, what is the vision for your life? And I remember sitting down quietly in a kind of retreat place in the woods and just asking God. I said, I have this passion within me. I have this desire. I've kind of got the jigsaw pieces here, but I don't know really what you want for my life specifically. And in those moments, and just to keep it cutting a long story short, really, in those moments, God showed me very clearly, kind of bringing those jigsaw pieces together. I remember having a piece of paper and writing it out. I remember writing England on fire with the gospel. And it was like, yes, that's what I want to see. But then it was like God was saying, no, Martin, it's bigger than that. And I was looking at the trees at the time. I remember God saying to me, look higher, look at the tree tops. And I remember just my hand crossing out the word England and writing Europe, and crossing out on fire and writing ablaze. And I looked at it and I thought, this is what God has made me for. Europe ablaze with the gospel. Not that that's on my shoulders at all. And I've met others who have a similar vision, but that's the picture, the vision he gave me, that Europe would be transformed with the gospel.
Wow.
And it's my passion that he's put in me to see others come to Christ. That is the fuel for that. That's the fire for that. That's what keeps me going. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning as I think about this vision. And this, can I just say, I know that's a big vision. And for others, it won't sound as big, but the important thing is it's the vision that God gives you of his future, not what I want to see, not what I'm going to achieve, but that's the picture he's given me of what he wants. And then my bit is, well, okay, so what's my part in this? And my part is to proclaim the gospel and to help others do it. It's as simple as that. And it's that passion for souls that is the fire for that keeps me asking those questions. How can we reach the lost? How can we connect with them? How can we present Jesus? How can I bring Jesus to people in such a way that they will fall in love with him?
Well, that is just so clear, Martin. Thank you for that. We know that in the core value, it speaks of vision. It talks of goal setting. It talks about maybe gathering others, mobilizing others that might have a similar passion, and also overcoming obstacles as well. As we bring this interview to a conclusion, can you maybe give a couple of pieces of advice to people who would say at the moment, I'm really not sure what God wants me to do with my life?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, let me say two things on that then. Firstly, God doesn't play games with us. And one of the things I learned early on was carve out time alone with God. Actually, almost like give God time to speak. I know God can speak at any point, but sometimes we need to set ourselves aside just to be quiet before him. And it's in those moments I have most clearly heard God's voice. And if we're serious about seeking vision, take those moments of retreat. Maybe it's half a day in a park somewhere, or
Yes.
and God will speak in his timing. You won't miss that. And secondly, the singular, most important piece of advice I have ever received, and I would pass on, is that, whatever God has given to you now, be faithful with that call. Whatever God has given to you, be faithful with it.
Yes.
And it's in that faithfulness that you will hear his voice and move forward. So those are the two things that I would say at this point.
Martin, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm sure that your story will inspire and encourage other people. We are all part, aren't we, of the family of God. And as I've been teaching Christians to the core this time round, some of the core values have become so much more clearer to me. And we know, don't we, that intimacy is that place of embracing the Father's presence. That's where it all starts. I've then seen how passion is encountering the Father's heart. And that leads on to vision, doesn't it? Where vision enables us to be employed in the family or the Father's business and just taking up our place. Guys who are listening to this, I hope that you've found this useful. And what Martin has said, the best thing that we can do if we're not sure is just to get alone with God and seek his face in that secret place. Thank you very much. See you all soon.
Thank you.